Cover 3 Tailgate. And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Bud Elliott. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 Tailgate, where they are pouring oat milk and vodkas for everybody. Oat milks and vodkas on the house. This is one of those days, right?
I think that's what Diego Pavia and the fam are drinking, oat milk and vodkas.
Much love to the greatest general manager in college football history, Barton Simmons and the Vanderbilt Commodores. We've thrown a line out, okay? We'll see. Hang with us. If he might come crashing in here. He's got it. So it's not on our hands anymore. The
invite's open.
Like Diego Pavia said, it's in God's hands now, and God told me that Barton would be here.
Keep hitting him up on Twitter at Barton Simmons to be able to let him know he knows how to get in the door. He still has his keys. So much to break down. Last week we had the Alabama Georgia. Next week we've got Ohio State Oregon, and it is these weeks, the ones that creep up on you. We joked about don't screw it up Saturday. We joked about it being a mid-game breakdown. We had 7 of the top 12 teams in the AP Top 25 poll that were playing on the road. Not all of them as favorites, but some of them as more than one score favorites. And so far, as we are live at 11:33 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 have already gone down. So congrats, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss's mistake was doing it on the weekend. Nobody else did. Like, if they would have done it today, nobody would have cared.
So yeah, we've got to work our way through Vanderbilt's wire-to-wire win against Alabama that included them pushing Alabama off the ball and converting at will to ice the game. The Vanderbilt Commodores doing that. We have to get into what exactly went wrong for Tennessee and right for Arkansas. Mid-zoo, Tom, you'll get to have a victory lap on that one for sure. And when we get to tomorrow's top 25 today, making our projections of the rankings here in just a little bit, I can tell you what the easiest adjustment was, because it was a huge pain trying to put this thing together after all the results. But Michigan and USC, let's get out the paint. You were basically only you were only inflating each other's resumes, really, and you're just kind of linked together. You both take a second loss, let's go. We're done here. So let's begin with the game aspect of Vanderbilt and Alabama. Tom, what stands out?
I mean, it's kind of like what you said. It's not just that Vanderbilt beat Alabama, but typically if somebody tells you before the week starts, okay, Vandy's going to beat Alabama, you're going to think, oh man, what kind of stupid crap happened in this game for that to happen? How many turnovers did Alabama have? How many times did they shoot themselves in the face? But they led wire to wire and they put up 40 on them. This wasn't just some sort of silly upset. They beat them. It was very impressive what they did. Offensively, we've talked about it. Jalen Milroe had the great game against Georgia for the most part, had all the Heisman hype this week, and I don't think he was the best quarterback on the field today. I think that was Diego Pavia. He threw for 252 yards, 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 56, and more than anything, defensively, Alabama was so concerned with Pavia in the run game that it was opening up lanes for everybody else. And even though Vandy only averaged 3.1 yards per carry, goddamn, I got something in my eye.
But it was effective enough.
Yeah, they were still able to move the chains. The success rate, I didn't look it up, but it was probably higher than the yards per carry was. So just overall, a very solid performance by them. They did not look like they were outclassed in any way. And we talked about it early in the year when they beat Virginia Tech. it looked like there was a different caliber of athlete on the roster than there had been in previous years. And that had been the case every week, but still, I didn't think they were to the point where I felt like they would look that good against Alabama. And they looked very good against Alabama.
Tom, do you recall like the opener last year when Illinois played Kansas?
Yes.
And how few coverage concepts it felt like Illinois was comfortable playing, and how Kansas very early in the ball game said, "Oh shit, we know their checks and their adjustments with our like how they react to our motion early in the series is going to dictate how we play later in the series."
Mm-hmm.
Pavia had 4 incompletions tonight. Count them, 4. That's a guy that knows who's going to be open and is confident on where he's going to go with the ball. 4 incompletions like that. That's crazy when you have Vanderbilt's athletes who have gotten a lot better under GM Barton Simmons, we will say.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still like everybody on Bama's defense is like a 4 or 5 star, and you out scheme the crap out of them. You had a really savvy quarterback who's tough as nails, and it just felt like Vanderbilt was confident in what look they were going to get every single play, or damn near. Like, this wasn't a ton of just Pavia run around, make something happen magic. There were a couple of those, but a lot of this was just, hey, I'm operating the offense. Like that's what it reminded me of. Is like you and I were texting last year, I recall, because like Illinois had a brand new secondary, just as Bama does. It was like, oh, Leipold and Colton Nicky, they got these guys. That's how Beck was today, I thought, for Vanderbilt. I mean, you're 12 of 18 on third down.
Yeah.
You ran 60% of your plays in Alabama territory. You won the turnover battle, but it wasn't like you scored off turnovers and had like, a bunch of defensive scores. I mean, even the turnovers you got resulted in drives where they had to still go 40 or 50 yards. So that was not fluky. Like, this was a deserved, earned win. Like Tom was saying, that was awesome.
For the Alabama side, how do you recalibrate a group that obviously has, like, maybe we could put results aside. Like, obviously their offensive ceiling is tremendous. They just, somebody in the tailgate said earlier, hey, congrats to Ryan Williams, the youngest person to lose to Vanderbilt. I haven't fact checked that.
That's pretty good, man.
Has a 17-year-old ever lost to Vanderbilt? I don't know. We should probably be talking about that more. But we'd been looking at the defensive issues or the ways that they could get picked apart. But I mean, this wasn't even just secondary. I mean, this was the inability to get stops when you should be able to get stops. And like the coaching staff and Pavia and working within the system, so many of those third down conversions were Pavia on the move, throwing to an open guy on the move who had separation. Like, is that structural? Is that coaching? Is that the personnel? My question is Alabama stuck with this, or do you see a way that they improve?
In theory, they could improve because they have so many young guys playing in the secondary that they could become more accustomed to what they're supposed to do within that system. They grow up during the season. You're going to have some opponents that probably aren't quite as unique as what Vanderbilt runs. And this was a tough situational game. Although Nick Saban probably didn't help you out on game day saying that like all SEC games are tough with the exception of playing at Vanderbilt. But up until that point, like Saban never had trouble with Vandy. So yes, I think the secondary could improve for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know
if you saw the stat, but in the 4 they only played 4 times, but in the 4 games Vandy played against Alabama in the Nick Saban tenure, they scored 13 points. They had 13 points in the first quarter today.
Wow.
Kalen DeBoer hot seat? It's time to start asking, folks.
Would Caleb Downs have changed this?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I think
it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, it wouldn't have hurt, but I don't think he would have changed the entire defense. It's hard for one safety to fix an entire defense.
Offensively, I was a little bit struck that Bama was not able to run the football like more explosively. I do think teams are sort of catching on to what aspects of the read game Milroe is and is not comfortable with right now. And I don't know, like they looked a little bit different in today's game. And I know they scored 37 points, whatever, but like this looked a little bit more like the second half of the Georgia game than the first half of the Georgia game. Like Miller had to pat the ball a little more, had to sit back there and kind of be a little more patient with it. First read wasn't always open. Hell, even down to the big play Bama had in the second half, which was the you tossed it up to Ryan Williams.
Very similar
to
doing something insane.
Yeah, right, exactly. That I don't know how do these stay in bounds?
I don't know.
Well, I know the body.
He defied physics pretty
Yeah.
much. That or he goes to like Pilates and he has incredible core strength.
Our Cole Kublik, big fan of the Cover 3 podcast. I loved having him on the call for this moment, for this game.
Do you know why?
Why? Because he talked to Ryan Williams' high school coach?
No.
Jordan Rodgers was calling.
Last year, he was stuck doing Conference USA games for ESPN. So he's had Pavia like probably 4 or 5 times.
It's great. He was giving us the tracking data from the Alabama strength coach. I mean, I love listening Cole talk about football, like even like not just all, like just in general. So it was fun to have him there. But he was giving us all the rundown on like the athletic freakiness that Ryan Williams has, and being able to put some data behind it is pretty impressive stuff along the way.
He looked freaky.
Mm-hmm.
Bama did not look today that much bigger, stronger, faster than
Vanderbilt
did.
Mm-mm. They look very similar.
Now, I think defensively, that is partially the hesitation caused by this Vandy offense.
Right.
I think Clark Lee deserves credit for bringing it, like for biting the bullet and saying, hey, like we're not going to just see just because we're Vanderbilt, but we do kind of got to do something a little bit different. In the offseason, we called it that special prep. Like you need to be able to steal one in conference play. If you're Vandy, you want to hope to get a bowl. And you steal one because people don't take you seriously in prep. And it's not just something you can like catch up to during the game by trying a little bit harder. Like you lose this game if you're Bama on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday because you didn't study your iPad. I'm not saying they didn't, but like in theory, this is kind of how you get one. And I didn't think they were going to get it over Alabama, but they did. Also, they cashed those over 0.5 conference win total tickets. So,
and part of it too, like I talked about this when we were on HQ at halftime, Chip. Like the game, you can game script Alabama out if you get ahead of them early, because then they've got to rely on Jalen Milroe to come back and beat you with his arm, and that is not something that they are very comfortable and capable doing, except when Ryan Williams makes maybe alien plays. I mean, is he human? I don't know, but it was just like Alabama's offense for a lot of it in the second half became trying to run. Vandy did a great job of stopping it, and then just chucking deep balls and praying for the best.
So one last oh my God. Kansas is about to choke it away again.
And Cal just took an 11-point lead.
They did. Yeah.
I mean, this day ain't ended.
Big play after big play. Yeah.
They tush pushed on 4th and 1 from their own like 30, 33, and then Ott went 66 yards.
I love Jaden Ott turning around looking over his shoulder because he's like, I'm fast, but I know these guys are really fast.
So I need to make sure. All right. Again, probably something that I would rather explore with some thought, maybe some text and phone calls, but whatever. Well, let's get reckless. It's a big Saturday. So Alabama's defensive staff has 3 or 4 different coaches who have been a head coach before. And I remember I just had this thing rattling around in my head. We got a lot of co-coordinators. We got a lot of individuals that are used to their voice being the biggest voice in the room. How you think this is going to go for Alabama? I think is a challenge for Kalen DeBoer in terms of, talking to people around the Washington program last year in the playoff. Everyone talked about his management style glowingly. This guy does a great job of leading his staff and empowering his staff. Well, buddy, it has whatever you earned has been given back in terms of the Georgia win. And then you have this loss. Pressure's on now to be able to go the rest of the way without allowing this to become an issue.
It is, but I also think you catch a bit of a break too in that, Georgia's won today, but you have the tiebreaker on them. Tennessee loses today. So it's like the teams that we expect to be at the top of the league all had losses. So it's somewhat of a lost opportunity for Bama to remain a game ahead of everybody. But in a way, losing this game sucks, but you haven't lost ground on anybody.
That's true. Hey, speaking of, coming up on the wait, yes.
Before we hit the break, I do want to point this out. So it is 17 minutes into the ball game. There are 40 teams in the country that have not allowed a 50-plus yard pass play so far this year. Miami has allowed 3 in the first 17 minutes of the game. Stuff's weird tonight, man. This is is it full moon?
I don't know. I'm just thankful that Illinois had a bye.
I know there were 8 top 25 teams who had a bye this week.
Mm-hmm. And if you took a bye, good job.
Good job. Great job. Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee. So speaking of, not Tennessee. Coming up on the other side, what happened to Tennessee's offense this week, a couple weeks ago? We'll get into all that and more next. Jeff in the tailgate asks if this is the craziest day in college football ever. I'm hoping.
Not.
I'm hoping
2007 probably had something close, but this is.
I'm hoping that the research department is going to be able to give us the full rundown of stats. We're still raw. We're still raw and live right now. I mean, Tennessee literally just finished it. Like Nico just showed some horrible decision making at the very end. Tom, can we grade Nico Iamaleava on the performance? Okay, bad. There we go.
It was
not great.
It was simply unimpressive, and then he ran out of bounds on 4th down, and it went straight to bad performance. Bad performance by Tennessee as a whole. Like Arkansas, all credit to them. They won the game. They did the thing they always do where they just made it ugly and nasty as hell, but instead of losing close in the end like they're supposed to, they actually pulled off the upset and won it. But I don't know, man. Like Tennessee, they got off to a really, really good start. And the offense, for whatever reason, I think in the run game, that offensive line has, like, when it was happening against Oklahoma, I was like, okay, fine. Oklahoma's got a good defense. No shade to Arkansas, who doesn't have a terrible defense, but the fact that they couldn't really block in the run game against Arkansas, especially in the first half, when they just kind of ran inside zone over and over and over and over and over again, not going anywhere. That was a problem. Nico, looking every bit the kind of freshman he is at times because he's making some poor decisions. But I also think in the first half particularly, I do think they were a bit too conservative on offense. Like, I understand you're on the road, you've got a young QB, and maybe you're thinking, I don't want them to make any mistakes. They're going to put me in a bad spot, especially because Arkansas had been moving the ball pretty well on you. It's just they couldn't finish drives and get points on the board. But I do think you needed to kind of rely on him a little more in the first half.
I agree with that. Like, so if you look at what Tennessee did, I mean, they were getting favorable run looks and then not blocking those looks. Like that is kind of what that offense is. Like, you are making a quick assessment at tempo for the most part against what should be a simplified box. And Arkansas did a good job of muddying the picture at times. And like, part of that's just kind of paper, rock, scissors, right? Okay. Like Arkansas is showing one thing, they're going to check to something else. Does Tennessee correctly guess what the check's going to be? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But repeatedly, like, Arkansas was more physical than Tennessee. It felt like Arkansas had a different level of energy, which we talked about this a little bit on the preview. Some of these teams playing their 6th game in a row against a team coming off a bye. Well, that was the opposite. Okay. Like, that was Tennessee coming off a bye. Like, they should have been the ones you would think that would be fresher, that would have more energy. But I don't know if they're like reading their own press clippings or something like that. But Arkansas brought it to them tonight. And Arkansas really had not played that well the last 2 weeks. You know, like, they got Auburn's backup for at least a half, right? I'm trying to call here, and got like a million turnovers in that game. And then, you know, like we had said on the show, coaches who have had to scout A&M said Reed missed just didn't see a bunch of wide open guys against Arkansas. And like, that's why they thought there was a real chance they'd go back to Wegman. Well, tonight, maybe Nico missed a bunch of wide open guys I didn't see, but up until the point where he had that kind of desperation heave on Herb Street, described it as the Mahomes play, his long pass of the night was 17 up until that 42-yard,
a long completion.
Yes.
Yeah, because
correct.
he also like airmailed a couple of like deep
Yeah.
shots that were not even like you didn't even feel like you were giving your guy a chance.
Totally. And a couple of them were open, like Squirrel White, 10 targets, 38 yards. That's really bad. I'm not saying it's on White or Nico necessarily. I think it's kind of more on Nico tonight. Like he didn't have the turnovers, but the
A lot of
completions
dinking and
were-
dunking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The inability to run after catch was huge too.
Yep. Offensive, it is one of
Could have been worse, by the way.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
'Cause Arkansas was
The way this
terrible.
played out, yeah, like Tennessee's kind of lucky they did not like get seriously down in this game. Like their defense bowed up. Arkansas was moving on them really well in the first half and holding the ball, and like Tennessee's defense kept them in this game in the red zone, like by bowing up in the red zone. That was surprising.
Yeah, Arkansas had 5 red zone possessions, got 19 points. Like
Not great.
that could have been a blowout. You made that game a lot more difficult on yourself than it had to be.
Yeah.
That's kind of just what Arkansas does, though.
Man, I think that like Arkansas left Tennessee so much room to win the game and escape. Because I mean, at what point were you really starting to roll into like, okay, Tennessee's going to lose?
Really, never until
Arkansas scored at the end. Yeah.
Until the big running back, because especially not when Taylor Green got hurt.
Right.
I was like, okay, like Taylor Green's been kind of magic. They haven't actually punched it in the end zone, which has been an issue, but ultimately, like he has played pretty well. I think some of those deep balls Taylor Green threw tonight were exceptionally well covered and just great balls. He just put them in a bucket. You just kind of got, man. Like Arkansas's defense played their ass off, and the quarterback played really, really well. And it probably says something about how talented of a team you are that all that happens and you lose the ball game by 5. But you did. And they played really well. But I don't know, like to your question, when did I think they were going to lose it? Probably when – so they have – I don't know what yard line are they at? Like the 22?
The 30. I was going to say when they were down 14-13, but they had gotten the ball into scoring range and it was like places going nuts. Offense has a bunch of juice. Like I had not seen anything from Tennessee that was like, oh yeah, I'm sure that based on everything I've seen from them, they are ready to go and march right down the field. And they almost did, but I
was thinking even later. I was thinking when Nico took like 7 seconds to throw the one ball and I was like, oh, they only have 1 play left probably instead of 2. I thought where they were at, I think it was what 17 and a timeout. Like they're going to get 3 shots at this, and they only ended up with 2 shots. When he took so long on the first of those, what I was assuming was 3 plays, that was sort of like, oh, they're probably in trouble here.
Should we just stay in the most overrated conference in America and talk about
no, it's the deepest conference now, Chip.
Oh, it's the deepest conference now. Yeah. That's right.
The team that lost to Oklahoma State beat the number 4 team in the country. It's deep as hell.
Are you ready for the renewal of the rivalry between Texas and Texas A&M and then a rematch 1 week later in the SEC championship game?
No.
Hey, look. I don't know what happened to Connor Wegman during his sabbatical. Okay. I don't know if he went to Germany to get this shoulder worked on. He came back and it's like magic. But Connor Wegman, there's so many levels to this. Like I got a little bit loose on CBS Sports HQ today. I actually used the phrase Mike Elko put Eli Drinkwitz in a locker. As soon as it came out, I was like, I might want that one back, but hey, what's to say? But I thought that with all the games and shenanigans that were going on here, like we had heard, Gabe talk about how Eli looked at him like he was crazy. He was like, of course they're going to play Marcel Reed, and he bans Marcel Reed's sister from being around practice. And here's Mike Elko saying that, yep, like game time decision. If he's good, he'll be ready to go. And not only was he good, he had maybe the best performance we've seen from Connor Wegman as a starter.
I mean, if you like 18 of 22, sure.
Yeah.
Bro, I mean, they had 512 yards on 58 plays.
Yeah.
That's absurd. And that was kind of throttling down with like 5 or 10 minutes left. I thought A&M would win the game. I did not think that they were going to put up 512 yards on 58 plays. Like that's A&M being awesome, and that's also Missouri like looking off for like this entire like Tom. Like I don't want to say
this entire year.
You've been saying it.
Tom's got it.
You nailed it.
I thought this game was a coin flip, man. Like, that's why I took the Mizzou money line on Thursday's show, because I was like, all right, either one of these teams can win. I don't really trust either of them all that much. Texas A&M came out looking like an actually good football team today. Missouri looked worse than I was giving them credit for all season when I was calling them mid-zoo. Like, that was a terrible performance. And there were some plays early in the game, like penalties that were and weren't called, that kind of sucked the air out of it. And maybe if they were called, the game goes a completely opposite direction. But they got their ass kicked, man. They just got beat up on the lines of scrimmage by Texas A&M. They couldn't do anything to slow them down. And offensively, like, they got guys that are supposed to be guys, and they have not looked like guys. Like, Luther Burden is fantastic, but for most of the season, he's had some moments, but he hasn't been the consistent player you expected. Theo Weiss has not been a consistent weapon for them offensively. Brady Cook is not better this year than he was last year. I think he's actually regressing a little bit. And I just don't think this team is that good. And we talked about it last year. They were in a lot of one-score games where the ball bounced their way, and they won because of it. This year, they're not getting nearly the same luck. And doesn't really account for losing by 31, but I don't know, man. We talked about on the show earlier this week that Eli said he was preparing for Marcel Reed, and we thought that maybe he was just kidding, or maybe he was telling us the truth, and he was completely caught off guard by Connor Wegman being the starter, and Mizzou really didn't have a game plan for it. Got doors blown off them and weren't able to get out of the hole they dug themselves. Maybe they should spend less time planting blankets in their players' room and more time preparing.
Yeah,
for
that.
And also, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Chip. But also, beta nerd kicking that field goal at the end of the game when you are down 41-7 and you kick a field goal to make it 41-10. I'm not even mad about losing my under. I'm a little mad, but that's not really the point. Just that is the weakest, saddest attempt I have ever seen, man. Just go for the damn touchdown.
Saddest field goal since Florida kicked that field goal against Oregon State in the bowl game to make sure that they weren't shut out.
At least I understood that one because they wanted to keep that streak alive. What was the point of that field goal?
Did he give some kind of explanation? Like if you want to tell me, hey, this guy's not had to make a kick in a road environment yet, I just wanted to have him practice that. At least lie to me.
His face in the first his face for the first 20 minutes of that ball game was the golfer in the major championship who just, it's like things are moving quickly and he just can't control it. You know,
the John Rahm meme.
Yeah, oh.
Do you think he knew
what?
Coaches, unless it's like an absolute turnover fest, and that stuff you can't really see coming. You usually know if you're going to get your ass kicked this bad.
No, I think that he was surprised.
Man.
I think he was. See, you're not surprised when Missouri's offensive line is getting blown up by Nick Scorton and the rest of Texas A&M's defensive line. Sure. That was something you probably factored in. You're a little bit frustrated that Luther Burden and Theo Weiss aren't maybe getting more separation, getting more yards after the catch. All that stuff probably adds up to his expectations. But it was just the way that Missouri defense, which again, the people close to that program are like, yeah, we think the defense is actually a little bit better than we might have expected coming into the year. And it's like when they are just getting pushed around and just physically dominated from the beginning of the game on, they couldn't get off the field. They couldn't get stops. They were allowing explosive plays. They just looked regular. And number 9 team in the country looking regular was a little bit alarming.
Do you know who looks really, really smart today?
Who?
Blake Baker, because he got an absolute bag to go to LSU, got to reset the expectations because he knew like they lost a whole lot of good players off this Missouri defense, and the transfers they took aren't nearly as good apparently now as they were hyped up to be. He gets to like totally get a rebuild job with LSU's defense because of how bad it was. And now he's probably got a better defense at LSU than Missouri's got, which is crazy because LSU's defense really ain't any good. But I thought about that today. I was like, man, he avoided this. Good on him.
Insult to injury is after you get your ass kicked in Kyle Field next week, you've got to go to play UMass on the road because you scheduled that game for some reason. So now after that game, you've got to fire your team up to be like, all right, boys, we need to get our stuff together because we're going to go play the Minutemen.
Do they have somebody that can play other than Cook?
Wow.
I mean, for a long time, we kind of thought this guy was a Jag, and then maybe elevated him to a Jag plus last year because he did make some pretty clutch plays at times. But man, like 13 of 31 is tough. Yeah.
I don't think they're going to make that move, but
would you like if you had somebody? I think
you know who the backup is. Here's a fun game.
They had 26 yards in the second quarter.
I'll tell you this: their backup is 16 of 17 on the season, and he has plenty of experience. And his name is Drew Ride in the Pine. So yeah, it's gonna be Brady Cook next week.
It's gonna be Brady Cook. UMass first quarter. You know,
that's for you. You could take that one. You've got the winning record. You can afford to take stupid plays like that. The rest of us have to try to win.
stupid plays to get stupid prizes. All right. Coming up on the other side, every single week, we like to make some predictions, some projections, and some analysis around what the new top 25 is going to look like. We'll get into all that and more next.
A Quiet Place Day 1 is now streaming on Paramount Plus. It's thrilling, terrifying. It will make your heart pound out of your chest. A Quiet Place Day 1, now streaming.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast, where similar to our story on CBSSports.com, tomorrow's top 25 today, we always like to predict and project some of the movement. In doing so, a chance to also take a look at some of the results that led to some of the movement. So I ask, actually, yeah, thanks. It was very complicated, but I tried. I made the reference, Michigan and USC. Let's get them out of there. Do you think it happens?
Like all the way out to 25?
All the way out to 25. It's your second loss of the season. And like USC has the win against LSU, but they both, I mean, USC's loss is a worse loss because they were a, 8.5 point favorite. But yeah, I've got them out.
I don't think so. For this reason, Arizona is losing to Texas Tech. Boston College lost today to Virginia. Iowa lost. James Madison lost. These are just
it's weird. You didn't mention Pitt, who was 27th in voting points last week and is now 5-0 for the first time since 1991. You did not mention Nebraska, which just beat Rutgers and is now on the cusp of jumping back into the top 25. And you did not mention the SMU Mustangs, who all of the sudden are sitting with a 5-1 profile where the only loss is to a BYU team that's ranked inside the top 20.
Also, Army and Navy are going to be ranked.
Listen, we're dealing with a lot. Who would you put first, Army or Navy? Navy had more voting points last week.
I think they're both pretty damn good. I think I would go Army just because Army has been much more dominant from starting the game to the end of the game, but Navy's been pretty dominant too. So you're really kind of splitting hairs here. Although you could also argue Navy's played a more difficult schedule to this point
because they played Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
What about inside the game of those two results? Let's start with USC Minnesota. Did y'all get many eyes on this?
I did. I watched almost the whole thing.
Okay. Did you think that PJ was about to get screwed there at the end?
I thought PJ was about to have a heart attack at the end.
I wasn't considering, the impact as much as I was like, ooh, if this gets bungled right here. Because it looked like as he was talking, and for those who didn't watch, it was a 4th and goal situation. And
He went for it.
he went for it. You go for the win.
I agree with. I
It
didn't
was
quite
tied
agree
17-17. He was talking to the ref. Did you catch this? It looked like he was talking about taking a delay of game, backing up, and then kicking the field goal, right?
I can't read lips. I don't know.
Okay. It seemed as though that was at least part of the consideration of the plan, but they call timeout. They decide to go for it. Darius Taylor was tremendous in this game. I mean, shocker, like news at 11. Darius Taylor is the entire Minnesota offense. I think he finished with 180 total yards. They flashed
44 running, 56 receiving.
Yeah. And they
So
flashed the
200.
graphic on the screen that the rest of the team combined had 90 yards of total offense. So Darius Taylor, good enough to literally carry Minnesota to its first top 10 win since 2019. So props to them. I thought that they did a good job of controlling the game, controlling the ball. Miller Moss had a couple of bad interceptions in this game. Obviously, there at the end.
One at the end is guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not a good Miller Moss performance. It was a little bit windy. Maybe that helps power USC banging home oh, yes. All right. Let's go.
We're doing this.
Yeah. Come on. Bring him in. Yeah.
There he is.
Oh.
Yes.
Anything happened today?
The general manager of Vanderbilt football, Barton Simmons, joining the Cover 3 podcast, making his return to the house that he built. Hey, man. How you doing?
Just a cog in the machine. Boys, I'm doing good. I'm in the playroom in a West Nashville 37215 house of a Vanderbilt grad. I just sort of found my way in here.
Is it coming for you?
Oh, the dentist just walked in, by the way.
Yes.
The dentist.
Is he
Yes, is the dentist has his identity been revealed? Hold on.
It is not, but there's a
Didn't know.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
I don't know if you guys knew that was who was giving y'all the picks all these years, but that's the dentist. Yeah.
oh my god, dude.
That's a hell of a way to be doxxed right there.
Oh,
So seriously,
man.
anything interesting happened to you today?
All right. So congratulations.
Let's talk.
Take us through take us through your experience of the game.
Okay. Well, my experience of the game listen. Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Thanks, Doc. All right. Listen. Okay. We got all kinds of problems coming into here. All right. Listen. Here's the thing. We felt like going into that game we were going to win.
That's awesome.
And I know that no one else in America did, but the stuff that people were. CJ Taylor made a comment and Diego made a comment and that was all real. This is the first time since I've been here we were playing a team like that we believed that we were going to win. Not that we had to convince people to believe, but that team believed they were going to win. And so so that was cool. That was cool to see it manifest that way. I think after that first drive I felt like we were going to win. I mean, like I said, I knew I felt like we were going to win before, but after that first drive, I was like, okay, this game, we got an opportunity to do this the way we want to do it. And honestly, guys, man, that was we kind of all the way through.
Oh yeah, wire to wire. That's what we were talking about.
Kind of kicked their ass.
And blowing them off the ball too.
I mean, you said it, not me.
No, you kicked their ass. Is what you did.
That's the way I felt. Yeah.
You threw 4 incompletions in the whole game, dude. You schemed it was every single play felt like y'all knew what look you'd get. You knew where to go with it, and it was out the gate.
Yeah, Tim Beck's the maestro. I really liked Tim Beck's game plan on offense, Clark's game plan on defense. I mean, I really like. I'm so proud of those two guys. I mean, the whole staff, but I'm so proud of those two guys and just sort of what they put together. And I mean, we executed a plan. Truly, like we executed a plan, and so that was exciting to see.
How was the? I mean, how's the locker room? How the guys? You know, how's
Have you
the
guys
staff?
been paying attention to what's going on Broadway in Nashville?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's in the river, right?
Yeah, it's in the river.
Goalposts in the river.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
a pretty big anchor.
Yeah. It was fun. There was on the field after the game, there was like guys that had transferred out that were on their bye week, like on the field in Vandy's gear, giving us hugs, you know, like it was just, I think here's the thing about what tonight was. And listen, I really want to be like, you know, I love you guys. And so like, it's like when we won, like I kind of wanted to celebrate with you guys, but also at the same time, like this is not an arrival. And like, we got Kentucky next week. And, but like beating the number one team in the country,
Pretty cool.
and like the pain and the shit that we've like been through to get to that point. And like, it's a big deal, man. You know, like there's been some hard nights and some hard days. And like, that was a big day for us today. And we're going to enjoy it. And then we're going to go and get focused on Kentucky. But that was a big deal. That was a big deal. And I'm at a Vanderbilt alum's house right now, just enjoying the night, because there's Vanderbilt people all over this town that like have been waiting to celebrate something like this. Yeah. And it's fun to kind of have a chance to do it with them, you know?
All right. So you guys got the lead. You've been taking it to him for like 40 minutes. And Williams goes up and catches that ball after Clark's had an awesome. I mean, were you wearing a hat? And if so, how far did you throw it when that happened? Like, what, dude?
No, yeah, I'm with you. But here's the thing though, like in this team, I promise you, like whether it was Missouri, like I knew we were going to beat Missouri. We didn't, but we were going to beat Missouri. We were down 12 against Georgia State in the fourth quarter. And I was like, we're going to figure out a way. Like when that happened, yeah, of course that was like disappointing, but hey, next play. And you know, you can say that and you can try to convince yourself of that. And you know, that's what you're supposed to do. But this is a team that was like, there was no flinch on that sideline. There really wasn't. And so, man, that guy's a good player though. That guy's a good. I mean,
okay.
that play was like,
how come you didn't recruit him? Like,
that is the thing of beauty,
doing?
man. Like it really is. But no, we were ready. Like we were ready to line back up and go play the next snap. And listen, here's what, because I know y'all have a lot of games to get to, and I don't want to like bogard the whole show.
No,
you know,
it's fine.
Bogard away.
You know, I love you guys.
We love
but
you too.
Here's the thing. Here's what's like Vanderbilt football is not what I'm proud about tonight is when people think about Vanderbilt football, they probably think about like trust fund, high academic, like whatever. Like this game tonight, what we should, like, this is a tough team. Like this is a gritty team. This is like, you go in our facilities, you go to Alabama's facilities, man, they're different now. Like those guys over there, like they're living in they're living in the Ritz. All right. That's not what we're living in. And we love our facilities. It's the best in the country because it's ours. But we're not living that life. And Diego Pavia had no scholarship offers coming out of high school. You know, he went JUCO to New Mexico State to Vanderbilt. And Brian Longwell has got like special forces dad. You know, Corday Sidner's from like Brooklyn, New York or something. You know, like this is like a tough, gritty team that is like nothing's handed to these guys. And like the guys that have been here from the jump, like they've been through some shit. And I'm just really proud of the progress that this team is making, and we're not done. And, I just this is a team that is I'm proud of the product we're putting on the field right now. And it's a tough team. It's a physical team. It's a gritty team. It's a nasty team. And, we'll see what happens the rest of the year. We're going to find a way to win a couple more games.
I say this with true adoration. Ain't nobody look at Diego Pavia and think that he's leading a trust fund team.
That's right. That's right.
Have you watched the interview?
Hey, yes, I have.
Okay.
I mean, that's not surprising. Listen, Diego, Diego, they call his family the Pavia Mafia.
Yeah.
They are a trip now, and I love them. They're awesome. And the ushers have their hands full with that crowd.
The brothers got so much screen time during the broadcast. It was
I believe
awesome.
it.
Dude,
yeah. Now
I
that's
believe it.
the environment in the stadium looked good. It looked like you had a really good turnout. Students were hyped.
I want to give a shout out to those students now. Since I've been here, I don't know what's different about this year. Maybe it's just, but I mean, first game on, our student section's been outstanding. And so listen, Willie Geist, from Good Morning America or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I hope that's right.
I think it's Today Show or NBC.
Okay, Today Show. Sorry, I'm sorry. Theo Vaughn was on the sideline tonight. This is Nashville's a fun city, and as soon as we start playing good ball, this is going to catch fire. And we got to commit from a 2026 player that's a really good player. I can't say it out publicly, but as soon as the game was over, I mean, just there's energy around this thing, and all we have to do is show we just have to show it. And today was a good first step.
It's awesome. Any other shout outs?
I don't know, man.
My wife, my girls putting up with me. Clark.
I wanted to come here with an oat milk vodka. I don't know if you guys have any. That's
Hey, listen, nothing better than a cold domestic.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sort of I'm like I said, I'm a product of my environment right now. Yeah. And they don't have oat milk in this house or vodka, so I'm doing the best I can.
It's a gritty team. We're drinking silver bullets, right?
That's right, bud.
Blue Mountains for the Blue Collar team.
Yeah. So
so happy for you. We
miss
love
you guys. Y'all are
Miss
doing
you
awesome, and y'all are the best podcast out there. And hey, can I tell you this one other thing? Is I really hadn't listened to you the first 3 years that I've been here because I hated the fact that we were so irrelevant. I just didn't want to. I wasn't listening to any media, and I'm listening to you guys a little bit more this year because we're actually a little more relevant, and y'all are the best out there. And so congrats on keeping the dream alive there. And anyways, love you guys. Appreciate y'all.
Love you too. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it. Awesome.
Go beat Kentucky.
Yeah, beat Kentucky. Let's go. Let's keep it rolling.
I know. This is not the destination. This is not it. But we'll see what we can do.
That's right. He is the general manager of Vanderbilt football, Barton Simmons, a host on this here Cover 3 podcast. That's number 3 was his number in college. Mm-hmm. It was one of the deciding factors when we were brainstorming with choosing a podcast name. And let me tell you, people got a lot of opinions when you ask for opinions. Things of this matter. But I feel like we've landed the plane and we're doing great. So I appreciate it, Barton.
Y'all got more to talk about tonight. There's some crazy stuff.
Yeah. I know. We got a lot to talk about.
Dude. I mean, Cal hit 3 50-yard passes on Miami in the first 17 minutes of the ballgame. It's going it's like berserkly right now. And
Also, I don't know if that team down the road kind of lost a big one too.
I saw that. I'm conflicted on that because I was excited about the idea of playing 3 number ones, in 1 year and maybe beating 3 number ones, but we'll do it.
Hey, Kentucky next. We're doing Kentucky next.
Kentucky next.
Kentucky next.
Agreed.
Awesome.
Hey, y'all have fun. Appreciate you guys. Love you.
Love you, man. Anchor
Get it done,
down.
man.
Anchor down.
Take it down, buddy.
Let's go. All right. So this is gonna be the longest.
Barton's been enjoying himself.
This is gonna be the longest VOD of top 25 breakdowns ever.
I forgot we were.
Hey, we hit 8 minutes. Let's go.
So should we hit a break, just a reset?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Coming up on the other side, the Michigan Wolverines kind of got. So what went wrong and what's the path forward? Jack Tuttle coming in. So what does that mean for Sharon Moore and so much more from a busy day in college football? Next.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
Thank goodness for the tailgate. Seems like y'all appreciated the visit from Barton. But any other thoughts from USC's defeat to Minnesota?
Oh, right, because Mikey's got to splice this together. Yes, as I was saying about Minnesota-USC, they basically played the same game. It was super bottled up. USC's long pass was 18 yards. Minnesota's was 25. So it was entirely in a phone booth, which I don't think is the game that USC wants to play. It's exactly the game that Minnesota wants to play.
Yeah.
This to me was sort of like USC's welcome to the Big Ten moment in a way that the Minnesota game, like this was it. The Michigan game was really not. Like Michigan just athletically, like that was just, there are other teams in the country that can play kind of like that. This was like, you got dragged down into the muck. Welcome to the mid of the Big Ten, like not mid, like the mid level of the Big Ten. 3 turnovers. If you're not going to have explosive plays, you can't afford to like just turn the ball over. And they had 3 tonight.
Oh,
Also, USC is definitely a better team. I thought they were entering the season. I thought they were going to go like 7-5 and could risk missing a bowl, and they're not going to do that. These tackles are a problem on the outside. Like I don't think Minnesota is that damn good at D end. And they gave USC's tackles hell all night. I was watching that repeatedly. I was like, damn. Okay, that's a problem.
So you mentioned the lack of explosive plays. The longest play from scrimmage, and this encompasses literally everything you just said. Longest play from scrimmage for USC for anything was a 21-yard run by Quentin Joyner. At the end of that 21-yard run, he fumbled.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so Minnesota had a 25-yard play, and USC's longest play from scrimmage was a 21-yard play that ended in a fumble.
Minnesota did have the 40-yard carry by Darius Taylor.
Yeah, that was the 25-yard pass play, 40-yard carry by Darius Taylor. Yeah.
Yep.
It was an execution issue for USC pretty much across the board. And that's going to be frustrating if you're Lincoln Riley, and you definitely got bigged. And while this was like a lock that I lost here on the show, I hope I remember prefacing it with, I might have egg on my face on Saturday night after this, because it's USC, trusting USC on the road. And here's me pulling the egg off my face. That's it. College football. I would maybe.
I can't believe you got a pick wrong. You should be ashamed.
I know it's so tough for me to figure out what it's like.
How you going to sleep tonight?
I know. Sleepy time team.
Loser.
That's right.
Loser.
Michigan, Washington. Orgy gets benched. Jack Tuttle comes in. Bud, you mentioned
not the savior. Not the savior.
Bud, you mentioned that Tuttle had been cleared. He also ended up being responsible for a pretty costly turnover in the game's final sequence. What do we make of the Wolverines right now?
they're still a really good football team because of how good that defense is, but they're not really close to taking the next step because the offense is just not getting any better. Like that defense is going to keep them in most games. They lost by 10 tonight. That game was pretty close throughout. They led it. They had lead at halftime or like shortly thereafter.
They were up 17-14 in the third quarter for most of the third quarter and into the fourth.
I thought Washington deserves more of the credit here, I think, than
blame for Michigan.
Yes. For the most part. Like Michigan, the 3 turnovers were a problem tonight. But a lot of those were good plays by Washington. I mean, Tuttle's a little late with that ball, but the kid also makes I can't say the guy's name. Is it Fabriculon?
Brickabadur.
I know how to read his name. I watched him in the back of his jersey. He did a great job to undercut that ball. I also thought, Washington finally just didn't shoot themselves in the foot with penalties or dumb turnovers for the most part. They had one that was costly or could have been really costly actually in the red zone. But they outgained Washington tonight by like 100. Or they outgained Michigan by like 150 yards.
Yeah. I thought they moved the ball really well.
Yeah.
I thought Will Rogers, even though he had that interception, in a scoring opportunity, he still had he got off to a good start. And that was probably the best thing that Washington did was establish a lead early,
right.
In the game script. One of the buzzwords of the week as we broke down all these matchups, making Michigan need to cut into a deficit was a fantastic, Washington wanted to do that, but it played out. They were aggressive early. I thought Will Rogers was delivering good passes on time. It's such a different wide receiver room than obviously the 3 NFL players that they had last year. But I'm starting to come around to the idea that they've got enough pieces like this because of the rest of the schedule. This was an important game to make a bowl.
Yes.
And I'm starting to come around to the idea that in some of the coin flips that they've got left on their schedule, that they've got the personnel to be able to win those coin flip games. And I wasn't sure that I was of that mindset going into the weekend, but this was a good test. I thought they answered the challenge. I thought they showed the ability to. Jonah Coleman's a really, really good player. They showed.
Yes, dude, he's very good back.
Yeah, they showed the ability to be balanced and get both those things going. So, like you said, Bud, I do come away from this very impressed with what Jed Fish has done with this Washington program.
They play hard.
Not the fans, but if you had asked the coaches preseason, you'll be through the Michigan game, you will only have 2 losses.
They'll be like, how much did we lose to Michigan by?
I think they take that.
Yeah.
Like preseason, before you knew any of the other results, I think you would take, okay. Because they probably figure out we lose to Michigan, but we take care of at least one of Rutgers and Wazoo.
We beat Washington State. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I think they have to feel pretty happy where they are right now.
Yeah.
They're getting better.
As far as the next tier of the Big Ten, they're capable of beating just about anybody in there. I think they proved that tonight. And I think on the Michigan side of it, Jack Tuttle, the offense is better with Jack Tuttle. It's still not good. And I think the one interception he threw is a really good play by Curriculum Minimum, which, by the way, Washington year in and year out leads the nation in syllables. But just I think part of the problem that Michigan deals with, no matter who the quarterback is when you don't have receivers who can separate from anybody, you've got to make dangerous throws that allow defenders to make plays. And that's kind of a situation that they're all going to have to deal with the rest of the year.
100%.
Can they still make the playoff?
Can Michigan still make the playoff?
Yeah, with 2 losses, right, but it's you look at the rest of their schedule, they're might lose to Illinois. They got a bye week, but they could easily lose on the road to Illinois.
They could lose to Indiana.
Lose to Oregon. They're probably they could lose to Indiana.
They could lose to Indiana.
Yeah.
I don't see that team doing much of anything against Ohio State.
When we get into
and they also have to play Oregon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When we start talking about a team that already has 2 losses by mid-October, I really am less interested in can they make the playoff, because there's so much that needs to happen for you to remain in that picture. Like it.
Yeah.
Like my Michigan, if I was betting, I would bet. I mean, obviously the odds would be slanted, but like I would.
The way we're going, the number 1 seed might have 3 losses.
Today will cause some wonky results.
Anyways, I interrupted you, Chip. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, like, I would bet Michigan no because of the team,
Yeah.
I don't trust this team to go through the rest of this schedule and not pick up a couple more losses. So
I more threw that out there because, like, the number of teams that are still alive because of how many upsets we've been having so far is quite high.
But again,
loser-ass teams.
Alive is all relative. Alive is all relative. See, do you know what's funny, Bud, about a 12-team playoff? You've got to put 12 teams in there. A lot of people don't talk about that.
12 mid-ass teams.
So the barrier for what is and is not a playoff team is all relative, depending on what other teams are also competing to be in this playoff.
I like how meta Chip is going right now. Yes, that is. I think
no, it's a bit that I stole from Gary Parrish. Every year, in the NCAA tournament, there's all the talk about like the bubble. Like, is this a tournament team? Is this not a tournament team? I mean, college basketball media just basically goes into bubble talk as like a general like muscle memory for about 2 to 3 weeks. And he says on the Eye on College Basketball podcast often, he's like, the thing about the NCAA tournament is you do have to put 68 teams in there. That's the thing they don't tell you. So when you've got this like team with a sub 500 record, but they've got enough quad 1 wins, congratulations, you're in the NCAA tournament. And I think that that's kind of the same thing with the college football playoff now that it's expanded. Our definition of what is or isn't a playoff team is all relative, because the thing about a 12-team playoff is you got to pick 12 teams to go in there. And there's going to be some teams that you're going to be like, man, they sucked on October 5th.
I love it. It's great.
This game won't be finished by the time we quit podcasting, but like, how many guys last year were just flash in the pan? Because Fafita this year has thrown a pick in every game, just threw a pretty horrendous one in the half here after driving him down again. That's 2 tonight already, I think, or maybe 3.
The Big 12.
Brady Cook.
Big 12 is just a random number generator.
Yeah, Big 12's bananas. All right, so you want to do Ohio State, Iowa?
Sure, there's a team that won't be in the playoff. I'm comfortable saying Iowa will not be in the playoff. And if they are, we can just skip that game because we know what's going to happen.
But could they be in the Big Ten title game?
No. Indiana's not losing enough games for Iowa to squeeze in there. I mean, that technically, is it a home game if Indiana plays in the Big Ten title game? Is it still neutral site? It's in Indianapolis.
It's still neutral site.
That's not neutral.
Oh, hold on. All right, what's Bloomington to Indianapolis?
About
hour
15.
All right, what's Athens to Atlanta? Because Georgia plays in the SEC.
Who's driving? Like a Georgia player driving, or like one of us?
Well, okay.
What's a king to a god? What's a god to a king?
It's like I would say, 45 minutes, Athens to Atlanta? If one of them driving.
It's
25.
35.
35, you're doing 95.
I don't know where I'm at with Ohio State right now.
I do.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you where you're at?
Yeah.
Ohio State is a good football team that is kind of like Georgia in the last few years, where it kind of messes around a little bit in the first half and just kind of pokes and feels around, finds your weak spot, and then in the second half, it shows very little mercy. And that's what Ohio State is. And I think that we are at a point in the year where I don't know that we have an elite team in the country, but Ohio State might be it. Texas might be it. And we need to see them tested at a certain point to see how they respond to it. But I just think that talent-wise, like, they shot themselves in the foot repeatedly in this first half of this game, and they still didn't let Iowa do anything. Like, Iowa didn't score until the fourth quarter. The game was well in hand by then.
I know it's a real shame for my Ohio State to win by shutout plus 194 halftime play.
I was thinking of you when I saw that, but I just think this is a very good team that has multiple ways it can beat you, and it hasn't been put to the test yet. So in that sense, like what you're saying, you don't know what to make of them. I get that, because until a team's put to the test, you really don't know. But I don't know that this team is going to be put to the test. Maybe next week, we'll see.
I mean, Howard 21 of 25. Did he throw any that should have been picked off?
Yeah.
One. I mean, he did have one interception, but there was also one that he got away with.
I'm trying to watch 8 games at once.
Yeah, no, we got this one on lock. Like it's Howard was Howard did not overwhelm me. Howard made a couple bad throws, like 2 bad throws, and otherwise like followed the rubric.
Oh no.
Pick 6. Whoopsie daisy, Cam Ward.
Oh.
But no, I think that overall, Will Howard is still, when you watch this offense, and I felt like coming into the season, the offensive line was our biggest concern about Ohio State. I think the offensive line has played well. I think the weakness of the Ohio State offense is the quarterback, but I say that in context of they're really freaking good on offense. So like the weak spot is still going to be better than most of the quarterbacks they're facing on a week-to-week basis. Now, when it comes to the playoff, when they run into other teams with good quarterbacks, maybe that's when it bites them in the butt. But I just think both sides of the ball seem is very good. I think special teams, they have improved where that has been kind of a sore spot for them for a few years. I just kind of think that based on what I have seen from teams week in and week out, this is the team I am least concerned about.
Defense helps me not be concerned because I think their defense is absolutely fantastic and has been at pretty much every turn.
I kind of think Texas is the one I'm least concerned about.
Overall.
But Quinn Ewers is currently not playing.
Maybe I should care more about that than I do.
I know Arch played well last week, but Arch looked like crap against ULM. Of course, ULM's kind of showing itself to be a pretty damn good football team. So
ULM's not that bad, and Brian Vincent can coach.
Yeah.
Do you know who could have had Brian Vincent as a coach?
The school where he was the offensive coordinator and an interim head coach.
That is
the school
correct.
That allowed 71 points today to Tulane.
That is true.
So do you think that was, I'm not going to I'm not prying live on air, but like, there's some like old, like Bill Clark, Brian Vincent's boys out here doing it, right?
What do you mean?
Like John Summerall could have called the dogs off and did not.
I don't know that it mattered. If you watch that thing closely,
I did not. And I said, I
don't think UAB's kids care. And I think they capital Q quit.
Yeah.
There's a couple teams today that I have on quit watch. I am no longer watching to see if UAB has quit. UAB,
Baylor didn't quit.
Hey man, if you're losing by 50 and you're laughing, you're just yucking it up on the sidelines, you don't really care. I've seen all about it. I need to see. And I really like Ohio State's defense. Just so we can hit 8 minutes on that segment. Like, they are so damn good. Iowa's offense actually went over the necessary point total to continue the drive to 325, by the way.
You had 6, right?
We need to hit 6. We hit 7. You know, does not need to update the graphic, really, except just putting the nice, like, smiley face on there. Mikey.
Making life easy for you.
Night off.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Making life easy for you on a night where we're 16.
The Baylor result is pretty shameful if you look at how many important players got hurt for Iowa State in this game.
Yeah, but even their backup, who was their backup running back that came out and looked nasty? Hold on. I'll pull this up real quick.
I had it on mute. So
for Iowa State?
Yeah. It was like, even it, because obviously we all know Abu Sama and like
who? Never heard of him.
You've never
I don't know the backup's name by heart. It was Jackson. Jalen Jackson, the senior, the vet.
Even he had wiggle.
Wait, did Sama get hurt?
I don't know if he got hurt. I had it on mute. I didn't notice if he did. He was certainly ineffective while he was playing.
Man, I gotta tell you, like, Iowa State looked like they were playing so much harder than Baylor. And I really thought Baylor was going to come back and win this one when just everybody on Iowa State's defense got hurt. And they didn't. So shouts to Iowa State for that effort. Like, that was incredible. And I wonder, like, is that it? You know?
Because they were up 14-6 in this game, and then they got outscored 37-7 the rest of the way.
Yeah.
They got rocked.
Not good.
Also, dude, Jeremiah Smith. We ask every week, like, is he the best receiver in the country? And we kind of joke about it. And then I'm like, dude, like that one. It's not like Iowa's corners suck.
That's true.
It's like Chip, when you're playing basketball with your boys, like just, you know, you just reach over them, dunk. Like it's not fair.
With one hand. Yeah.
I think he does. Frankly, I'm getting bored with it. Okay, great. Catch a ball with two hands. Really impressed me. I've seen you do the one hand 75 times now.
Well, all right. So this is another thing that goes back to my whole Ohio State. Like, I've been criticized for being like a hater because my video game poisoned brain is like, take it down the field. And I'm sure Chip Kelly is like, now why would we do that when if we just throw it to him sideways and let him go run? You know, like there's a lot of completions to whether it's Jeremiah Smith or Emeka Ibuka. It's like, we've created this numbers advantage. We got the defensive look that we wanted. We're going to get out, get good downfield blocking, and we're going to let some of the best athletes in college football go make a play. I totally understand. I'm just saying, take the top off the defense. Let's go.
Do you know who's probably pretty pissed tonight, actually? I think Dan Lanning has a right to be pretty pissed at Iowa for like not making Ohio State show a little bit more of their hand. It's like, really, Iowa? Like, the last chance we possibly had to see what Ohio State might want to run. Like, what sort of Death Star has Ohio State secretly been building in anticipation of this mega game next week when Ohio State goes to Autzen? Don't know. Don't really have to. They ran Will Howard like 3 times maybe on design stuff. Meanwhile, Chip Kelly's probably sitting there, doesn't really have to recruit anymore, so he just coaches ball and draws up plays nonstop, right? Like, he's probably thinking, okay, look what DeBoer did to this basically same defense you run out of empty in that game we saw 2 weeks ago. Look what DeBoer did to Oregon like the last couple times. And Penix was not even a runner last year. Like, can we incorporate some of that stuff? How do they defend this? How do they defend that? That's going to be interesting. I think if I'm Oregon, I'm like a little annoyed that Iowa did not make Ohio State show just a little bit more than they had to.
100%. All right, where do you want to go next? Dealer's choice.
I watched a lot of Ole Miss-South Carolina.
Ooh, good. I didn't watch much.
Yuck. So I'm not going to upgrade Ole Miss that much because I feel like they got really good breaks early in this game, and I don't think Sellers looks healthy. If you guys go back and watch this game repeatedly, he runs out of bounds, but at like an extremely conservative angle. Like the goal is to get out of bounds. They did very little design rushing with him. South Carolina went for a very obvious fake field goal.
Yeah.
Very obvious early in the game, and it did not work. Then they got stopped on 4th down early to set up. And honestly, like, the Ole Miss offensive line was having quite a bit of trouble blocking South Carolina, which is not surprising because South Carolina has a really good defensive line. But ultimately, they were able to hit a couple explosives. South Carolina's offense just did really nothing in this game. If they're not hitting explosive runs, like, we know they're not a good passing offense. And Ole Miss, to their credit, tackled pretty well. And that was important, I thought. So Ole Miss comes out looking a lot better this weekend. Also, like, look, man, if we are willing to make you sit at a play, one play, if you have to be helped off the field, which is the current rule, why can we not extend this to you have to miss the rest of the drive for your own safety? Like, if you need help to come off the field, we need you to be observed. Our medical people need to take a look at you for the rest of the drive just to make extra sure that you're safe. Because Ole Miss is blatantly abusing the injury stuff right now. I think they had defensive linemen go down in this game when South Carolina is not even running tempo 9 or 10 times. maybe more. Like seriously, like South Carolina is. I'm so pissed from South Carolina. Like, I'm only going to win the game anyway, but like, Ole Miss is clearly faking injuries on the field, like a lot. And I think it's just anytime the offense gets a decent play, they try to kill the momentum, reset. Like it's messing up the flow. It creates a really bad TV product. This is where I hope like ESPN or CBS or NBC or somebody leans on and says, "Hey guys, this is a TV sport. We cut the checks. This is a shit TV product to have going on right now. Like we cannot have you fake injuries multiple times per drive. It's a terrible thing to watch. Like, oh, is he hurt again? Oh no, he's fine. He's good. Like he's having to show him where to like pretend to check out because they know he's faking too. It's
a really exciting game. 3 points in the entire second half.
Yeah, that was the other thing is as soon as Ole Miss is up 24-3 at halftime, like, all right, we're gonna get you off to another I'm glad Bud watched it.
I was extremely interested to see if South Carolina could score 21 or 22 points. So I did get extra eyes on that one.
12% of the plays resulted in a loss. And also, I will never forget Dylan Stewart with the double pump shotgun action blowing Jackson Dart away.
You thought it was double pump? Okay.
I mean, he maybe not double pump, but he fired 3 rounds into him.
Yeah.
Like he was bang, bang, bang. And, can't believe he got a penalty.
Incredible sack. Incredible celebration.
I mean, come on, guys.
Bro.
First of all, you're down 24.
Let's not go nuts.
But yeah. It's a great game.
The other thing I'll say, I don't think Dart looks right. I don't know if he's hurt, but
he just got shot 3 times in the chest.
Well, fair. Yeah. For a gunshot victim, he actually plays quarterback extremely well. But for a guy who was pretty high up in the Heisman odds at one point, man.
He looked bad today. Like they did. Ole Miss looks. I mean, they put up 27 points, but they just look off still, even after last week. They ain't look right.
Is this a complete pass or not?
Do you want to talk about? Let's see here. What game? Oh, let's talk about Ashton Jeanty, the Heisman favorite. Last I checked, actually. Let me see if that's still the case.
So
he is. He's currently the Heisman favorite.
There are so many of like the best running backs in the country who, they have a good season and they're coming back, and in all the preseason magazines, it's like they bring back 1,000-yard rusher so-and-so, 1,000-yard rusher so-and-so. Jeanty's done it in 5 games. He eclipsed 1,000 yards tonight against Utah State, like 180 some odd yards and 3 touchdowns.
Sorry, I'm laughing at a tweet. It was, and he didn't play in the second half, and it was just they you took the team total over 47.5, was it?
Cashed in the first half.
Cashed before halftime. Utah State is terrible, and Boise State said, "You know what? We can get our boy in the Heisman race today. We could just have him go out there." And I'm actually a little disappointed they didn't play him in the second half, because they should have kept running those numbers up, because it is going to be hard. Like on a week like this, where you had a whole bunch of top teams losing, and like Jalen Milroe falls out, and all these top superstar quarterbacks are taking hits, and Colorado's off, so Travis Hunter's not going to get any kind of boost. He playing for Boise State. Boise has to make the playoff, first of all, and he has to have dumbass numbers, like you said, Chip. You needed to add more of those dumbass numbers.
Because
when Melvin get to 200 yards,
when Melvin Gordon had his 2,600 yard season that we talked about earlier in the week, it included at least one 300-yard game.
Yeah.
To be able to boost the overall total. But yeah, Ashton Jeanty keeps crushing it. What do you are y'all believing in Pitt?
Not. I believe that Pitt is a better team than we anticipated, even though I did take their over. Chip locked up their under, by the way. Wow, Chip, another loser
Shameful.
for you in a year full of losers, Chip. My God, can you get anything right? But, like, I don't think they're as good as their 5-0 record suggests, but I think they're good enough to keep beating a lot of the teams on their schedule. Like, you look at next week, they get the Cal team that is currently beating up on Miami, up 18 points, by the way, in the third quarter. Then they get Syracuse. Both those games are at home. On the road at SMU is going to be tough. Virginia at home. Clemson at home is probably where the dream goes to die. But then you get Louisville and BC to finish it. And it's just, I think this is a team that is good enough to keep winning most of these games to be in the running for the ACC title game and to be in the running as a possible at-large berth. Not saying they'll get it, but they will be discussed about it into November.
Oh, no, Thomas. Miami just gave up a 3rd and 15, 65-yard screen pass to Ott.
The tweet I laughed at said that Miami is getting person handled out there.
So, somebody better woke up this Miami defense before it's too late. Like, this is
listen, we have a listener of the show, big fan of the show in media, happens to be a Miami fan. He was talking to me and Chip earlier today, and he was reveling in the downfall of some of the other teams in the country. And I said, you're a little cocky right now, considering your team doesn't kick off for another 5 hours. You might want to just hold it back. And I'm saying he's probably regretting it right now. Hi, Kevin.
Oh, I was going to say, is it KC? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think in the ACC, if we're going to talk about somebody other than Clemson, and if we're going to talk about somebody other than Miami, I think SMU is the monster that even the most, even the most optimistic of SMU, fans probably has to think that this is clearly not what they expected, because they were thinking that Preston Stone was going to come out and throw for 3,000 yards and all these other things are going to click. But Kevin Jennings has a terrific performance. And SMU goes to get a win against Louisville, which means that now they've beaten TCU, Florida State, and Louisville coming on the road, and SMU will be a favorite in every single game that's left on its schedule.
So that's the first win they have over a team that's going to make a bowl.
Look, you can keep doubting.
I know. I think it's important to know how much better they're playing now that they've stopped this Preston Stone stuff. I mean, Jennings was 21 of 27. They were the more consistent team, I thought, than Louisville was on the day. They got up early. That probably helped. But, I mean, Jennings just looks so much better operating this offense. The offensive line looks a lot better when you have somebody with good mobility. That to me is really the change here.
They allowed 0 sacks in this game. They did a good job of being able to keep the defense off balance. We know that Louisville has some good pass rushers there to be able to apply pressure. So I thought it was a really, really good game plan from Rhett Lashley and that staff to be able to go in. And they knew that Louisville was going to charge back into the game. But, man, they hung in there. And I was pretty impressed with SMU's performance.
Can I rain on the SMU party just a little bit, though?
Sure.
Today was only their second road game. It is the first of 3 straight road games. There is a bye between them, but they allowed nearly 7 yards per play. And if you look at how they played all season long, they gave up a bunch of points to Nevada. They didn't give up much to BYU, but they lost. They gave up 42 to TCU. They gave up 16 points to the Florida State with DJU, which is like giving up 50 points to anybody else. And they kind of got into a back and forth shootout with Louisville today. The defense is going to cost them at some point. And now you look at the rest of their schedule, it's Stanford, Duke, Pitt, BC, Virginia, Cal. So they've dodged Clemson and they've dodged Miami. So that works in their favor. It's just when you play as defense as porous as I think they play, it's hard for me to rely on you being a good team.
Cal would score a lot of points on this team. They don't play till the very end of the season. So
Pitt will put up 50 on them.
I don't know. Pitt only got to 34 against North Carolina. So
Pitt will put up 50 on them.
If Holstein avoids throwing pick sixes, as Carolina cashed in one today, and in multiple other games, he has thrown balls that like are really like, very just on a tee to be pick sixed, if that can be a verb here for a second. Like this is kind of a problem ongoing with him. If he can stop that and just like, bro, just throw the picks deep down the field. Okay. Like stop throwing late to the outside to where it's just easy for the DB to take it to the house. I think Pitt's pretty formidable against like lower to mid-level ACC teams. Would SMU score a lot on Pitt? I think they would.
Speaking of lower to mid-level ACC teams, what'd you think of the Brock Glenn era?
I thought he was actually kind of encouraging by some of the higher level throws he made. He fit the ball into tight windows. He didn't make a lot of like dumb throws. Offensive line got even more banged up. So like the ability to run around and do some things was useful. I was surprised the defense didn't quit, based on how the game started, right? Like they kind of gave 4 good quarters of fight and made Clemson earn it. I mean, Clemson, well, I guess it didn't cover the whole game. Well, I don't know. It kind of depends on when you bet it. If you waited until Saturday to bet it, you lost. But if you bet it earlier in the week, obviously that was, 14 and a half, 15, those cashed.
A lot of field goals. A lot of short, a lot of short field goals for Clemson.
And that is something I think if you're an FSU fan, you'd be like, we'd rather have forced these field goals in other games that you had a real chance to win, because their red zone defense this year has been terrible, and tonight it was great. So I was surprised about that. I was actually pretty impressed with Clemson overall. I thought they were real physical running the ball. Maffa was really quite good after they loosened him up. I thought Klubnik played pretty well. So I'm like more impressed by that game than I am about them doing that to App State, which gave up like 60 to Marshall today or whatever. Obviously, a lot of stuff going on in Boone. Our prayers are with them. Or what they did to NC State, because like NC State doesn't have athletes. Florida State plays like idiots a lot of the time, but at least if they show up and play hard defensively, they will give you an actual challenge to block that can kind of. It's not what Georgia has, but it's the closest thing you're going to see to what Georgia has through the rest of the schedule, I think. Although, actually, are they at South Carolina?
I thought that was in.
Like, Gamecocks won't score on them much, I wouldn't think. But, like, that to me was an interesting test. Like, could they do, like, how would they handle that? And I thought for the most part, they're okay,
Where do you, Tom?
Purdue-Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah, I didn't watch any of this.
Oh, man.
Purdue is very bad.
I jumped into BTN for the Indiana game and then rode it the rest of the way for USC Minnesota, but I didn't catch any of the noon.
Wisconsin came into the day ranked dead last in the country in explosive play rate. Okay. Today alone, Wisconsin had a 52-yard pass, a 69-yard pass, 28, 25, 21. Like they had 10 passes that would be considered big plays. Rushing, they had 5 runs that would be considered big plays, including a 30 and a 47-yarder. That was still with their backup quarterback. And they tore Purdue apart. And Wisconsin fans, man, not going to tell you not to feel good about it. You put up 52 points in a game. You've had a very rough season. Feel good about it. Just don't think it means anything. I think far and away the bigger takeaway is just how bad Purdue is. And they've had it rough. Obviously, they got 66 put up on them by Notre Dame. They got spanked by Nebraska. They got spanked by I can't remember whoever the other team that they played was. Now they've gotten spanked by Wisconsin. Their starting cornerback leaves the team this week. And he says that, he'll be back next season, or maybe he will be, but it's kind of odd to me that he's had personal reasons for leaving the team after 4 games. So it's just, I thought, like, after they fired Graham Harrell, my thought was, Ryan Walters will get a 3rd season simply because I don't know if Purdue has the stomach to make a move on the whole staff this year. The way things are going, if they keep getting their skull caved in and week out, I think Purdue's going to have to make a move.
What do you think that job pays?
I'm going to guess it'll be about 6 to 7
million.
Yeah.
Well, somebody will take it then.
I don't think he's got it. I don't think that's what Ryan's getting now, but I think that when you go to the open market, you're going to have to pay 6 to 7 if you want to have any chance of drawing anybody.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a head coach taking a look at that job, I'm like, okay, so you're going to tell me if I recruit Deion Burks and I recruit Nick Scorton, who are like maybe like the best receiver in the SEC now that they transferred and the best pass rusher in the SEC. If I recruit those guys, you can't make competitive offers to get me to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm looking at Purdue as I get fired in 4 years job, just like I look at South Carolina, and a couple of these like jobs we talk about on the show, they're paycheck jobs. You take them not because you think you can really elevate out of there. You take them because you get rich. Let's
see. Walters, Walters is getting 4, so maybe 5 to 6. Because I mean, you look at the rest of the league right now. Schiano's probably going to get a raise. He's getting 4 right now. Rule seems destined for a raise. He's getting 5.5. But like, yeah, I think if you're Purdue, you have to give at least $5 or $6 million a year to get a guy to come in there.
Somebody decent will take it then, because like that's life-changing money.
Mm-hmm. Chip will take it. Chip, will you save Purdue?
I will not save Purdue, but I will gladly take the paycheck.
Dude, Ward just had
that's what I wanted.
You guys dropped it. Okay.
Virginia's 4-1.
Okay, that was crazy.
Yeah.
My boy, my little man, he's grown up. He's becoming a winner.
If you had plus 3.5 in that game from earlier in the week, you're sick.
I said on the show, because they announced during the locks, I said, oh, they've announced that, Castellanos is back. I says, I'm going to wait until Saturday and take Virginia, although I thought Virginia would be a dog by this morning, but they weren't. But I still took them. And I was very mad at myself for a while. And then I was like, Tom, you genius, you crazy son of a bitch.
Yeah, BC caught the whoopsie daisies. The whoopsie daisies actually are transmissible, it appears.
Got to wear protection.
And the whoopsie daisy king passed it along. Oklahoma State's dead.
Yes.
RIP.
Yeah, that was another quit watch one. I didn't watch much of this. West Virginia could have poured it on more and just didn't.
I haven't gotten
Garrett Green got banged up.
Okay.
Like he came back to the game, and after they went up early, I kind of just tuned it out. So I can't really 100% tell you what happened. I know he got banged up and he did return. It's just after he returned, I feel like the odds are West Virginia kind of just slowed it down because this thing was done. But they put up 558 yards of offense. They were up 31-7 at halftime. And then at the end of the game, like Bowman gets taken out and Rangel comes in, and it's like 38-7, and the crowd starts cheering. Just,
We think Gundy's done?
I don't know. That's so tough to be able to it's tough for us to speculate about the exact timeline and the way these things go with a coach like that. Sure. I mean, you're not firing Mike Gundy in the middle of the season.
Gundy to Purdue.
Is the thought that Gundy would just say to hell with all this? I don't need to put up with this.
Possible. That was kind of what I was implying. Yeah.
Yeah. The idea that if he's saying quotes to reporters that he's telling the players, tell your agents to stop calling me, that he might not like the modern era. I love fall camp. It means negotiation season is over. That's what I tell the players. Tell your agents to quit calling me. Yeah. Spend a lot of June and July talking myself into Oklahoma State. And then a couple media appearances. I'm like, oh, crap.
Whoopsie daisy.
Oh, Mike Gundy and this team of 3,000 returning starts might not be on the same page.
The announcer during this game, by the way, after Ollie Gordon left the game, said that that should be the last play he ever plays for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, which I was like, bro, not really your place to be saying that on a broadcast while you're calling a game.
Congrats to Houston.
Yes.
Got your first Big 12 win. TCU's a mess.
Yeah. They were in the title game 2 years ago. I don't know if you remember that.
Congrats to Syracuse. I haven't gotten to watch the end yet.
Oh, Chip. They got absolutely screwed.
UNLV got screwed?
Just good calls.
Just 2 in. You thought they were good?
I had Syracuse money line. I thought they were great calls.
You thought they were great calls. Yeah.
No home cooking in Allegiant Stadium? Shameful.
No, that was...
Come on. What do you think? Is the Raiders place? Come on.
Raiders get show causes. They cause so many.
I didn't get a lot of Penn State UCLA.
Penn State was just sleeping in the first quarter of this game. They came out like it was like, oh, okay, I guess we got to play a game today. All right, so let's go see what these guys have. And then they played like crap. UCLA started the new quarterback because Ethan Garbers was a game time decision. He wasn't healthy enough to go. I think that caused some confusion for Penn State early because the guy whose name I can't remember right now is much more of a dual threat than Garbers is. And then Penn State's offense just let it click on like their third possession of the game. And from that point, it was done.
Justin Martin?
There we go.
Yeah.
With a Y. Justin with a Y.
He played pretty well. I will say, like, UCLA does not always play smart, but they do play pretty hard for Foster.
I think the defense has been playing hard. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the defense had actually I think they had quite a few like tackles for loss, if I remember correctly. Let me open the box score here.
Hey, Miami scored.
Oh, the Canes are back. Congrats, Kevin. Let's see. Penn State had, they had 4 tackles for loss, so not as much as I thought, but they were getting pressure. And that's the other thing too. The other Nick Singleton did not play.
Right.
And James Franklin said after the game, that was a surprise to him. They expected Nick Singleton to be playing. So they found out in warmups he wasn't going to be able to go. And he says it kind of threw off their game plan a bit.
Well, he's like their most explosive player. So, yeah.
He's good, yeah.
Them against USC next week, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Especially given USC's current state. All right. I think I'm good until Monday, unless you got anything else.
You don't want to talk to us anymore?
We can.
If you guys do rewatches, so this guy in the chat. South Carolina is so much better than Purdue. Bud's uneducated for making that assertion. Yeah, South Carolina's a better team. Job-wise, they're both just jobs you take because you're going to get rich. You know you're going to get fired. Nobody elevates out of them. Google it. See who the last guy got promoted out of South Carolina was. I think it was like not only before black and white TV, I think it was before TV. So I'm done with that one.
Shout out to Florida and Billy Napier getting a big win today, taking down the Knights, who've now lost to Colorado and Florida in back-to-back weeks.
UCF looks rough.
Nebraska got a nice win, ended Rutgers' undefeated season.
Nebraska special teams are like amazingly bad. To me, that shows how well Nebraska's coached now. Other than that, because like in previous years, they would have definitely lost games that they play like this. So
some things never change. And Nebraska special
did they move Satterfield to special teams coordinator secretly? Like people are asking, is Thomas calling the offense? Maybe he's calling. All of a sudden, the offense is kind of okay, and the special teams are just like.
So the wagon committee never declared Tennessee a wagon, and obviously they have shown in their last 2 games.
I declared Tennessee a wagon.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Is that revoked?
No. They might still come out and smack Alabama next week.
Okay. Indiana's a wagon.
You telling me how to do my business, Kay?
Watch the Mountain West games. Those were absolute bangers.
I didn't get to see San Jose State, Nevada. Did Nevada end up winning?
No, San Jose came all the way back at the end.
Hell yeah. Let's go, Ken.
Oregon State, Colorado State, double overtime was actually really good.
Hawaii, San Diego State was good.
Yeah.
Amanda was on the call.
I didn't see that one
She
yet.
was. Somebody else told her I'm talking crap.
$50K.
Oh.
Did we get there?
We did.
Sweet. Time to get naked.
All right, everybody. Let's go. We promised something special.
Time to go topless for 50K.
So
man.
the thing that I loved about Indiana again is just like in the Maryland game, it looked like a close game, and then Indiana said, "Bye," like speed booster. Like you can't keep up with us. I love Indiana football right now.
Yeah, the Northwestern scored early in the fourth that cut it to 3, and I was sitting there thinking, "Oh God, I have seen this so many times. Indiana, you should be terrified because they're about to do it." But then, yeah, Indiana just stepped right on their throat and said, "Nope, that was fun. Let's go win now."
Our friend Robbie Calland introducing the play to the whistle Indiana fourth quarter principle. Pre-game fourth quarter bets on Indiana based exclusively on the idea that the Hoosiers, they play complete games.
Mm-hmm. They do.
It's what they do. Light them if you got them. Smoke them unfiltered. Coach Sig has the boys play for 60. Indiana fourth quarter bets pregame. That's where
Boots
we're
on the ground report from the stadium. Nice and warm in the sun. Slight breeze. Not as windy as we anticipated going into the weekend.
All right. We'll
Calm seas.
we'll continue to track such information.
I think
All
that's the last game there.
Oh.
Yeah, I think
thought
that
we
I
had
think
one
that was the
more?
last. No, I think they moved to Wrigley from this point, which is stupid because that's a genuinely nice stadium. And now you're going to go play in a dump. You are. Wrigley's a dump.
No, they're playing in Soldier Field for the Illinois game.
Okay, well, Soldier Field's not a dump. The turf is a dump, but the stadium's fine. But Wrigley Field, dump.
So for the Wisconsin game, it's gonna be Wrigley,
I believe so.
and then
Try not to run into any brick walls.
Yeah, it'll be an adventure. Northwestern football the rest of the way. All right.
Mhm.
We will be back on Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern time for a little upon further review. Our congratulations and appreciation to our friend Barton Simmons for jumping on the podcast. I cannot believe the dentist showed his face. Even if it was covered by Pat Mahomes sunglasses, right? The big old shades. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And thank you to everybody who hung out. Again, smash that subscribe, smash that like. More fun stuff coming y'all's way. It is not just going to be dropping a button. That's just step one, baby. We got more. We got more goodies for you. Turn on those notifications. Keep your eyes out. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Anchor down.